Welcome to Wholesale Hotties, a place where ladies in real estate are talking about real estate. I'm your host and MC for the evening, Sharon-Lee Smith, here together with my co-host, Donda Molinex, and Monique should be there soon, I'm sure. And today we have an amazing guest. There she is, Monique. And today we have an amazing guest, the real estate princess, Miranda Newell. Miranda, welcome to the show. We're so glad you're here.
Hey y'all, how are you guys doing?
Great.
Good. How are you? So,
Good.
Miranda, you got started. You came on the scene in real estate in my world anyway, probably about 2 years ago. So I'm guessing you got started about.
It hasn't even been 2 years.
No way, girl. Okay, it feels like 2 years in my world, but Miranda came on the scene.
It will be in July.
Okay, so about that, she came on the scene as a wholesaler, and she took this area by storm. This girl hit the pavement, hit the phones, hit the ground running, and has done amazing. I have really had great pleasure watching you grow and blossom in this space. Tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got started, why you got started, all the things.
That's so funny. I love telling this story because it's so funny. So before I was not thinking about real estate. Let me say that. I was a corporate recruiter for Amazon. So I was hiring like engineers, software engineers, cybersecurity analysts, all the good stuff, for Amazon that does the behind the scenes stuff. And I mean, it pays pretty good. Like when you're in the corporate world and that side, like on that side of Amazon, the benefits are great. You get Amazon stocks, all of that. So I was like, ugh, I'm getting burned out. Y'all are working me to death. So I was like, pretty much I was like, I'll do one last assignment as a temp contract, and then I kind of need a break. So that's kind of what I did. And I stopped working in May of 2023. And I was just relaxing, after that. And me and my husband, we go to Miami quite a bit. We love Miami. And this is before I had a baby. So we were in Miami. I was sitting in my hotel room. This is before like TikTok really took off too. Like it was there, but it wasn't there like it is now. And I was literally on my phone we were in the room. We were kind of tired. It was like over 100 degrees that day. So we were just chilling. And a lady's video popped up on TikTok about real estate. And I'm like, okay. And she explained it and I got it. I was like, oh, this is cool. But I was like, okay, so I went to her profile. I don't even know who it was. Like, that's the crazy. I couldn't even go back and find her video if I wanted to. And she was like, it's wholesale real estate. This is how she did this. So I watched all her videos in like an hour. My husband was calling my name. And I'm like, listen, I'm trying to
rabbit hole. Yeah.
I'm trying to, yeah. So then I got off TikTok and went to YouTube, and I just typed in wholesale real estate. So Jerry Norton popped up and whatnot.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. So I'm watching some of his videos, and I'm like, he explains it pretty simply too. So I'm like, huh. So I was telling my husband, look, I love vacation, but I'm ready to get back home so I can try this. So
I can do this thing.
On the way back, and we drove to Miami that time. On the way back to Virginia, I was going down a rabbit hole. I was like, okay, as soon as I get home, I'm gonna do this. And this was in July, by the way. So in July, the very, very beginning of July. So got home, and like 3 days later, I'd had my first property under contract. And Here we are. Here we are.
Bro, 3 days.
Yeah, here we are. That was super easy. He's been my best seller that I've ever worked with thus far. Like I still keep in contact with him because he was kind of like almost local to my area. Like I can get to his house in like 20 minutes. So his old house in 20 minutes. So yeah, he was very nice. He was one of the best sellers I've ever worked with. So
nice. And
here we are.
Nice way to break you in on the first one for sure.
Yeah, because they're not all nice.
No, they're not. No. So did you just start calling, or did you get pay for something to get a list of names to call?
So I've never really worked off a list. Like I don't pull lists from like PropStream and PropWire. I literally I went on Zillow because I was like, okay, everybody knows Zillow. So I went on Zillow and I think I had just put like for sale. I unchecked agent listed and I left all the rest of them. So on the rest of them it was like auctions and pre-foreclosures. Everybody's like, how did pre-foreclosures fall in your lap or whatever? I just left him checked. So one of his houses was the first one to pop up, and it said it was going to auction. So I was like, I'm like, I know what that means. I'm like, obviously he ain't been paying his mortgage, so he's behind. But that's kind of all I knew at that point. So then I was like, I was just started researching, like, pretty much what to do about auctions. But luckily, I still had a little bit of time. Like his auction wasn't until like August 14th, so it was still a little bit of time, at least like 3.5 weeks. So ultimately, I got the auction postponed anyway, but I didn't need to. So that's kind of how I got into pre-foreclosures. And whenever I am looking for them, I just go on Zillow. And then, well, now almost 2 years later, I've developed a couple of different relationships with foreclosures attorneys. So I work with them quite a bit.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, it's nice that you're able to help people like that because a lot of them.
I know. I love it. I keep telling people I really don't touch. I never closed anything else. So everybody's always asking me, do you want to try something else? Do you want to do this? I mean, unless it falls in my lap, I probably will never change, unfortunately.
Well, if it ain't broke, why fix it?
Thank you. And sadly, people are not gonna stop falling behind on mortgages. Sad to say, but it's gonna happen, unfortunately. So
right.
Yeah.
So
it's been a journey.
Miranda, give us an idea, like how many properties do you work on in a year, or a month, or a week, or how's that look for you?
I wish I had a more scheduled routine. I have not really had a scheduled routine since having a baby. So it's been up and down. It's one day I might be working, the next day I might not work for another week or two. So it's been super sporadic, like this year and then the end of last year. So like my first 6 months, which was the end of 2023, I closed that very first deal. It closed in August, and then I went pretty much really hard up until like December, like December 1st. I had closed a 6-figure deal in on the Thanksgiving of 2023, and then
wait. We'll pause right there. Did you hear that, girls?
Yeah.
She goes in and she closes a 6-figure deal.
I did.
As a wholesale.
And I'll get into the story on that. I will.
Yeah, you gotta tell the story.
I will tell. So I went super hard and got that closed. Like literally, it closed like 2 days after Thanksgiving, and then I found out I was pregnant. So I was like, oh, I'm definitely taking a break now. So December I did not work at all, and it was my birthday month. So I was really just telling me and my husband were like, listen, we're going to vacation here. I don't feel like working. I just closed a 6-figure deal. And I have savings anyway, so I wasn't worried at all. So then January came along. I did close another deal, kind of fell in my lap. It was super easy. And then I closed I think maybe 2 more. And then I took my daughter on our last cruise as just me and her and mom, basically, before she became a big sister. So that cruise that happened at I was 23.5 weeks. At 24 weeks, my life had just upended and I got admitted to the hospital until delivery. So 2024 was crazy. And I stayed in the hospital. Well, I would have stayed to delivery, but my child had other plans and came 11 weeks early. So he stayed in the NICU for 2 months. I obviously didn't work. I was like, I can't focus on work. We're back and forth between the NICU every day. So he came home in August. We were just getting settled into being a mom of 2. So it was completely different. My husband settling in, all that stuff. So really like October-ish, is when I really started to get back into kind of me, my groove, and all that. And then I said, 2025, I really gotta get back into my routine. And that's what it usually looks like is me like cold calling, running properties, running numbers, like pretty much every day of the week except the weekends, but like between like 9 and 12. So like the morning time. My 7-year-old's in school. The baby, he's usually sleep, or if he is in his like high chair or bouncer, he'll really just be quiet, honestly. So that's kind of my routine, and that's what I've gotten back into. And then I also do it also in the evening. So like this time, so between like 4 and 8 is when I cold call more and whatnot. And then pretty much the process repeats. So yeah, that's kind of my daily schedule.
Well, glad to hear your little boy was fine. So
yeah. I'm forever indebted to our NICU team. I say that they are the best. Shout out to Riverside. So I love them to death. But yeah, they were great.
Awesome.
They were really good. But yeah, so
you don't get to stop there. Let's hear about this 6-figure deal, girl.
I will. It's crazy because it's so funny. I think I maybe I posted about it maybe briefly on my TikTok, but I was on Zillow and I saw a property. It was in Lorton, Virginia. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with Northern Virginia, but the property values up there it's crazy. Like your houses where I live are selling for normal prices. Houses up there are selling for like triple. Right. So Northern Virginia is a very, very, very high ticketed area. So I had found a condo, did just a little bit of research, found out that both owners were deceased. So dad and mom were deceased. They had 2 sons and whatnot. One of the sons, I didn't know this for sure yet. One of the sons lived in Atlanta, and then one of the sons said that he lived in Lorton. I didn't know if he lived at the property though. So I'd actually told my students, I was teaching a wholesale class, and I told my students, I was like, yeah, y'all, I found a really good property. It's a huge spread. I'll let y'all know if I get it. So one of my students actually lived in Northern Virginia. So I was like, listen, you're learning. How about instead of me, how about you go and you check this property out for me? So I was like, if it closes, I'm going to pay you this. So he was like, okay, cool. So I go, I tell him, I was like, this is the person's name, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of see if he answers. And if he answers, just be like, here's my boss's number, call her. She wants to buy your house. She knows it's going to auction, blah, blah, blah. So he was there. He knocked on the door and nobody answered. Nobody answered at first. And then he was about to walk away. Finally, somebody came to the door, which was him. And he was like, yeah, I've only gotten like one other offer. And it was like, it was super lower. It was lower than my offer. I was like, oh, okay. Which is odd because honestly, I mean, if I absolutely wanted to or them, we could have offered way more. But so I was surprised to hear that my offer had beat the only other offer that he got. So he had me and him had connected, and I was like, listen, can you get this contract signed? Get out.
Oh, she's fine.
Oh my God.
I was having a good time watching her. Go ahead.
Look, any other time while I'm in, this is my old room when I was a kid. Any other time, she would never come in here while I'm working. So I'm surprised she's there. She sees I'm on the phone. So I was like, hey, I need you to get this signed as soon as possible, blah, blah, blah. Not to mention this property, he went there on a Thursday. This property was going to auction on a Tuesday. So he went there on a Thursday. He signed Thursday night. I did get it to the foreclosure attorneys Friday, but after that, it's the weekend. So I'm like, so I'm at this point, I'm like, I'm sweating, honestly. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, if I lose this, I'm going to scream. So Monday gets here, and And I talk to this attorney all the time. He actually, like, he's my go-to if I have a property with this company, because he was great. Like, he was messaging me at 10 o'clock at night, way beyond hours. So he's great. So Monday came, he was like, listen, we've sent the documents to the lender. They haven't got back to us. I'm like, shit. I'm like, listen, y'all have the paperwork, postpone it. So I'm like, so I'm literally sweating. So I get the son on the phone. I'm like, listen, can you send me a statement? Because now I'm curious on what your past due, like what your arrears is. So I'm curious. Hold on. Hello? Okay, hold on. So I'm curious on what the arrears is. And he sends me a statement. So I'm looking at the statement. I'm like, this is it. I'm like, shit. So I tell my husband, I'm like, do you see this? I'm like, I wish he had sent me this prior to that. Prior to me submitting this, I would have paid that. I would have paid it for you. So what we did, it was like 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, I text the attorney. I'm like, listen, I need wire instructions for PNC Bank ASAP. So he was like, okay, let me generate a quote, blah, blah, blah. He generated a quote with the attorney fees, all that stuff in it. The arrears was only $3,000, like $3,000 is change. Yes, and this property, like ARV is like 860. This property ARV is 860. So I'm like 3,000. So even with the attorney fees, it was like 5,000, like 5,700, 6,000. Cool. So me and my husband, we wired 10 just to be safe. Just to be safe. We wired 10. It got there. They confirmed that it got there. The next morning. This is Tuesday morning now. We still have not heard anything. Even though we paid the arrears, we still haven't heard anything. So I was like, it's the sale was at 10 o'clock. I'm texting the attorney. I'm also speaking to another person at the company. I'm like, listen, we paid the arrears. I haven't heard nothing about my postponement anyway with my purchase and sale agreement. What's going on? She's like, she said, this is like at 9, and that's crazy because I still have the emails in my email. I always laugh at them. This is like 9:53-ish. She's like, we still haven't heard anything. So 10 o'clock gets here. Now, like I said, I teach my students that. So I pay attention to auction.com. Now, if you sign up for alerts on auction.com, it'll tell you when stuff is cleared for sale. Like usually if you save it as a property that you saved or whatever, it'll tell you, okay, blah, blah, blah address is cleared for sale. If it doesn't send that notification, it's probably because it's postponed normally sometimes, or sometimes they get a late start because I have seen that too. So I'm holding my phone in my hand. I'm like, okay, I don't see no notification, but I also don't see no email from them. So it's like 10:02. 10:07. I'm sweating. I'm like, oh my God, if they auction this property off and I sent my money, I'm gonna be so mad. Finally, at 10:20, he emailed me and said, you have 60 days to close on the property. I was like, I don't need 60. I need like 10, really. And then I had closed on it literally like November 26th, so a day after Thanksgiving weekend, and it was like $160,000. And hold on, let me go grab my baby because he's crying.
Okay, all right. Holy wow, what an amazing story!
I know, but I still want to hear more. Like, if she already had the buyer lined up, or is this? Because it sounded like it was kind of towards the beginning of her.
I've got to be traveling, lady, so I'm going to put you on mute, but I'm going to take you with me.
Okay. Where are we going? To a meetup, right?
I have a meetup to go to for real estate to meet some more dynamic individuals, so I'm super excited.
Yay. Okay, cool. Oh, look at that little munchkin.
Oh, how cute.
Say hi. You just woke up. You were with Nanny. So yeah, that deal stressed me out. I swear that I would never ever like come down to the wire when it comes to auctions ever again like that, because it was stressing me out so bad. I had never been so stressed in my life.
Did you have a buyer lined up before you paid that money?
I think I did. Like I had already, like prior to me even prior to me even sending the money, I had already sent it out to like my trusted people that are in that area. So
Right.
it was basically sold. Like I'm pretty sure it was sold within like hours, honestly.
good.
So he was
'Cause
already
I
done. So
wouldn't
then
dare if I didn't have my
I
bio lined up.
yeah, I
I'm
was
happy to
scared
spend my money,
because
but Lord. Yeah.
yeah. I was scared. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, the buyer's gonna be so mad if I don't get this postponed. So I was like, okay, so yeah. Thankfully, stuff in that area does not last long. And
Yeah.
surprisingly, I haven't done anything else in like that Northern Virginia area again though. Like I say, so I keep saying I'm gonna focus on that area, and I never do. I never do. It's just something that just popped up. That's all it was.
Well, you should. It's lucrative up there.
It is. It is. It is. It really is. And
You mentioned a few times that you were teaching that you had a student go. So tell us about you. When did you start teaching this? Like, cause you were new yourself. So like, you were just
I was.
I gotta tell others like from the mountain.
Pretty much, like I have a personal Facebook, and I don't know if I have you on my personal Facebook, but being my personal Facebook, I have like the max friends. So I wasn't really posting that much, Oh, stop it. No, stop. You cannot grab that. I was not really posting that much like on my work profile. I was still kind of posting on my regular Facebook. So people were like, oh, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing now? I see you going to this. I see you, making money, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people were intrigued. They obviously did not know what I didn't know either a few months ago. Right. So then I was like, well, I love TikTok. I was like, let me make me a work TikTok page. So I made that, and people started, cut that down. People started messaging me, blah, blah, blah. So then I was like, okay, let me try it. Because I already don't have enough time, but let me try it to see how it goes. So my first class was great. Like I love my first class was probably one of my favorite classes. It's obviously, without Michael, I say, damn, I might not have had my deal because I couldn't go to Lorton. So I always credit that class as one of my favorites. And pretty much the layout of that is it's 8 weeks, and we have live class on Wednesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I use the Kajabi platform, so sessions are recorded. So in case you do miss it or whatever, you can always go back to see what me and the class talked about. And it's just the basics into wholesaling. So it's nothing fancy. It's just what I've learned thus far, what it is, how you do it, how you can find buyers, blah, blah, blah. Very simple, very basic. And I've had 5 classes. So it's not like every month, because I just don't have the time to do that or the bandwidth to do that. So it's been kind of sporadic. It's like every 3 to 6 months and stuff like that.
Nice.
Put that back on. And bring me my phone. No, you have your own phone. Well, my phone stays in here. So that's pretty much how the class goes. And I'm in a class now. And what's today? Today is Thursday. Normally I would have class, but 3 of the people that are in there said that they would not make it. So I was like, you know what? I got something else to do anyway. So let's just reschedule for next week, which worked out perfectly.
Yeah,
awesome.
So
thank you.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how the classes go. I said I was gonna have another one in July, but depending on my schedule, who knows? Because I'm now that I'm kind of
Uh-oh. Oops. I'm not sure what happened.
No,
but here we are.
Okay, you guys can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Okay. I thought I hit something.
No.
But yeah. Um, it's been going good though. I like seeing other people close deals that I have worked with. And also I've seen, people that um say they're interested and they really don't follow through. I've seen lots of that,
Yes.
honestly, all the time. I see it every single day. And even people that I've taught in my class, like, I'm like, why do y'all want to pay money just to not use the information that
Yeah.
someone gave you? So, which is crazy to me, because if I'm paying for something, I'm obviously going to find it useful and whatnot, and I'm going to try to apply it. But it's kind of like 50-50. Like, there's some people that took off and ran with it and are doing, okay, at least they're trying. And then there's some people that they just wasted their money, in my opinion.
Yeah. How much are you charging if you don't, I mean, just so the audience knows and can reach out if they're interested. How much are you charging?
So it's $350 for the 8 weeks. And I
Okay.
accept Klarna, Afterpay, and all that good stuff. So if you are approved for those other things, you don't have to pay it up front.
Nice. Well, those are easy. I mean, that's not a bad price at all, and those are easy payment methods. That's awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
so that's been cool.
That's nice that you make it affordable for people, because a lot of programs aren't affordable and they just they get into trouble because they don't have somebody to talk to or get advice or whatever. So it's really nice that you do that, Miranda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just had a question on the top of my head. What was it? So, you're a great storyteller, so I want to know. Tell us about like your most problematic seller that you've had to deal with, like the biggest. She's covering her face. Like,
I feel like I have so many. Like it's people. Like I feel like the deals that are easy, the seller is unproblematic. But the ones that you're like trying to make really work are the people that are just assholes and stuff. So I'm gonna say, let me really think, because I've dealt with some problematic sellers. Oh, I don't even know how I forgot this. Okay.
You wanted to forget it. It was so bad, huh?
I swear. No, it really was. It really was. So this was another condo. It was in Richmond, Virginia. It basically and it was last minute. I was just searching up stuff in Richmond. I was like, okay, let me try Richmond, because I don't do much stuff there, even though I probably could. I found a condo. I'd reached out to the person I thought possibly was the seller. Turned out he was the brother of the owner of the property. So I was like, hi, I'm calling about blah blah blah, and he was like, are you sure that property is going to auction? And I get that all the time. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I'm like, you think I'm just calling you out the blue to tell you that? It's definitely going. He was like, okay. He didn't know that. He was unaware of that, which a lot of family members are. I run into that all the time. Like if I do get a family member, they're like, what, really? They're completely stunned most of the time. Which is unfortunate, because I'm like, damn, tell y'all's families or something. Maybe they can help.
Right.
But a lot of people do. A lot of people don't, unfortunately. So I lost his number. Like I make so many calls during the day, I had forgot which number was his. I didn't save it. So I then had to go skip trace and find some other family members. So I found the sister. So I was like, hey, your brother's property, blah, 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 is going to auction. I talked to your brother, but I couldn't find his number again, yada, yada, yada. So she gave me the number again. Then she was like, well, here, I'm going to give you the wife's number too.
sorry about that, Miranda. I'm not sure what's happening.
It's okay. It's okay. So I got the wife's number. I was like, okay. So the wife didn't call. I didn't hear from the brother, and I didn't hear from the sister anymore. So I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not even gonna keep trying to call these people. So I get a call one day, and I'm like, first I'm like, who is this? I didn't know who it was. And the person was like, this is Dana, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. And then like her voice was really very raspy. So I could barely understand. So she was like, I'm calling about the condo in Richmond or whatever. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, who are you? Like, who are you to the owners? She was like, I'm the daughter of the wife. I'm like, okay. So this is when I found out that the owner, the guy that lived in the house, he died. He's dead. So I was like, okay, so he's dead. But the wife is still living there. I'm like, okay, well that's, it happens. So I'm like, okay, well, the property's going to auction. Here's my offer. Which was like $40,000. It was $40,000, y'all. Now this is in Richmond, in a decent part too, and they didn't want much either. They really didn't. I will say on that note, they did not want much, but it gets worse. Let me just say that. So I'm like, okay, so it was super complicated, lots of heirs. So I was like, okay, so Tony died. I'm like, well, when did Tony die? He died early 2010s ish, something like that. So he's been dead a while. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I'm thinking it's just the wife that's gonna sign. Obviously, I'm like, okay. So he was like, so I get a call from the brother. He was like, that Tony has grandchildren. I'm like, no, I don't know that, because what do they got to do with my transaction? I was like, huh? I was like, what? So come to find out, Tony Senior, the deceased owner, died. Then he had a son, Tony Jr. He died, and guess what? His heirship passed to his damn children. So I'm like, oh, I was like, I'll never ever do another heir property again after this. So and I don't even want to call them kids, because they're 18 plus. They're like 18 to 21. They're like my age. I'm 26. But right. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, so once title gets whiffed of that, and then I was like, yeah, stop. What do you want? There's 3 different heirs plus the wife. Now I have to get signatures to close from them. They weren't trying to sign because they didn't want to. One of the grandchildren wanted to keep the property and wanted to kick the wife out. Oh. I'm like, so I'm like, these people don't listen to reason. I'm like, listen, your grandfather was married to this lady in this property. You were never thinking about this property until you found out this was happening. Nor did you help her try to catch up the payments. Just saying, I'm not trying to get in y'all family drama, but it was right, and it was a mess. And Miss Deborah is her name. Monroe, come here. Miss Deborah, she was a nice lady. Really didn't know what was going on half the time, honestly. So that's why her daughter was helping her, the one that originally called me. Get his passy from me over there. Dana was just complicating everything else. Like, apparently the family did not like Dana. They did not like the daughter. They were saying that she's a meth head. They have over like 100 cats in the property. Fun fact about me, I've never been to any property except my very first one ever. Yeah. So I don't go to properties no more. Whatever. I get people to take pictures for me, or the sellers will do it for me, which she did, but still I need to see it. Right. So it was just bad blood between Dana, the grandkids, all of them. And then you got Tony, the son that died. All his children are not by the same women. So his baby moms was getting in it. Both of them. It was a whole mess, y'all. I'm so serious. It was stressing me out. I was like, oh my God. And really, I didn't think it was ever going to close. This is in November of last year. It was supposed to be a seamless transaction that was going to close in like 10 days, y'all. I got the property postponed. Actually, no, I didn't even get it postponed. My buyer, thankfully, godsend, he sent money to pay the arrears, because it was only like $9,000. He was like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna pay it because it's gonna come off the amount in the end. So, which was fine. He was super good about that. Paid that, but Dana started being shady to the point where I was like, wait, I'm like, hold on. He ain't paid this. Do they think they can stay? Like, they think that our contract doesn't matter? So it's stuff like that. Like, she would ignore me. She would not respond to text or calls. Like, she did not respond to text or calls like a whole 3 or 4 days after this was paid. So I was like, what the heck? I was so pissed. I was blowing her up multiple different numbers. I'm like, lady, you do know that you can't do this. So, and I'm like, you're not even the seller. Like, this is your mom. But people kept saying that she was kind of like manipulating her mom and that she would take her mom's phone. It was just a mess. And they were like, it's probably, the other family's like, it's probably the drugs. So I was like, okay, I can't deal with this mess. So, finally, so granted, before these grandchildren came along, y'all, I was gonna make $106,000. Another six figure, $106,000. Like, literally, the condos in this area, the ARV is like $260. I got it for $40. I sold it to my buyer for $146. Yeah. So it was gonna be I was like, oh, this is perfect, right in time for Thanksgiving. Did not close on Thanksgiving. So, unfortunately, Deborah and Tony, the wife and the husband, they had a few different judgments and liens that were super old. So that held up stuff even longer. Some stuff was expired, but some stuff it was sold to that person. So tracking down that stuff for the title company that I was using was treacherous. Yeah. So I was having problems with my gallbladder after I had him. Like, right after I had him, I started having problems. So January, this is December, still haven't closed. January comes around. I think I had finally, I was admitted to the hospital over 6 times over the last, since I had him because of my gallbladder. So finally they decided to schedule surgery because I was like, please get this thing out of me. I'm going to die for real. So the day of surgery was supposed to be closing day for everyone. Finally, we had got to a point where, what? Moro, is Nanny in there? Yeah. Okay, take her loyal.
Okay. I got him. I promise I won't walk him.
You better not.
Oh, what a good big sis.
Okay, go ahead. Tell her I'll be out shortly. I was like, I had to pay basically $50,000. Matter of fact, I think it was more than that. Yeah, it was like 50-ish, 56, 55, something like that. So it basically cut in half to like 49, which is still pretty good. I wasn't really complaining, but I was definitely pissed. I was like, this is just a hot mess. So it was a hot mess. So Deborah didn't want to get, it wasn't even Deborah. Dana, who was speaking for Deborah, didn't want the grandkids to get more than her mom. The grandkids didn't want Deborah to get more than them. And Deborah is not their grandmother. Like, the grandfather had married her later in life. So the family didn't like her, whatever. It was a whole mess. So I had to basically give them all the same thing. So I think I was giving Deborah $13,000. So I had to give them almost the same. They were splitting like almost the same. I'm like, oh my God. And then, no, that didn't even the worst part.
Oh no, the worst part. The Tony's father was originally from North Carolina. If the grandkids would have never even mattered if people deeded their stuff correctly. And that's another thing that I keep trying to educate people on. Yeah. Deed your stuff correctly. Like, if they had deeded it, rights with survivorship, then she would have been fine. But they deeded it tenants in common. I'm like, oh my goodness. Why would you do? So apparently the story was that the father gave Deborah and his son that for their wedding, but he kept his name on the deed for whatever reason. But I'm like, that's fine, but at least deed the property right. So the father had died too. This is Tony Sr.'s father. He died way back when too.
he did have a will. His will, though, was recorded in North Carolina. So we had to get that will. I read through it. For whatever reason, it never said. His Nene dropped in here somewhere. It's right here. Here. His the will never said, if I die, the property goes to my son and daughter-in-law. It never said that, which I don't know why. If it was got it for your son,
because it was deeded over, that it just would, right?
Yeah,
a lot of people do. A lot of people don't understand how
they don't, and they have no idea.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, damn, he never said I'm like, so obviously Dad had a wife too, which was not Tony's mom, his son's mom. So Dad had a wife too. She outlived. Cut the light back on. And bring me my phone, actually.
This is the most entertaining episode we've had.
Oh my God. So, oh Lord. So the wife outlived the dad in North Carolina. So I learned a lot about heirs and who gets what with this property. I kid you not. So she had 2 children that were not her husband's.
Yep.
Unfortunately, he left everything to his wife. So her shares passed to her children. So I'm like, we got more heirs. I was like, So that was sending the grandkids and Deborah crazy, because here you have 2 stepchildren that have no relation at all that have rights to this property, which is crazy to explain. But I'm like, oh God, So thankfully, Angela and her brother did not want anything. So I was like, I just need y'all to sign. At the end of the day, I need y'all to sign because I can't close without it. They did not want anything. Thank goodness. Because it would have been a mess. It would have been a mess. And
I'm kind of surprised about that, because I thought, like, in Washington State, where I'm from and stuff, the spouse gets it. And they pass it on to whoever or whatever. But it doesn't just like go to all these people like that. I've just never heard of it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can leave it and not leave it to your spouse, especially if it's a second spouse.
Yeah. or if they're not the parent of your children, it gets complicated.
Exactly. That's the next thing. You can leave it to the kids, and the spouse has the right to stay in it until she passes, but the kids own it.
Yeah.
And so there's that as well. I had one in Norfolk where the mom passed, her daughter passed. There was like 4 kids from there, and these kids were all in their 60s, right?
Wow.
And it turned out that the mom had an affair, and there was a nephew over here that was in jail, right? And the 3 kids has no right to this property, but they didn't understand, like, the law's the law.
Thank you.
My signature, and there's nothing I can do about it. They were so mad at me, like it's my fault. The title company telling you, dude, that you need to get their signature. It's not my fault. I can't do anything about it. We ended up losing that contract. It was a whole
yeah, I was determined not to, but it was quite a few times that I was like, I just don't see this closing. Like,
dude, I was working that deal from February of one year all the way through around to March the following year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I am freaking done with this.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was probably my longest deal.
Is how somebody is up there in years and they are married a second or third time or whatever. What would you recommend that I know you're not attorneys and this is not anything like that, but what would make it easier for them for the distribution to go where they really wanted it to go?
What I'm saying is, like, as much as I say will, that's cool too, but I'm going trust.
Trust. That's what I said.
So next week's guest, and Miranda, you ought to watch it. We have Mary Hart, and Mary Hart is an estate attorney. She spent probably 40 years as a estate attorney doing exactly this: estate planning, making sure your properties are deeded properly, that your will is in order, that your estate, your trusts are in order, that your LLC structures are in order, all these things to be able to pass on your properties without these headaches.
Yeah, I tell people every time I go, I'm like, listen, get a trust, or I mean, do you have a life insurance? Do you have that?
Yes.
Like,
yeah, because it's not just the property that this is a problem. It's life insurance.
It is
bank account. It's any, and you should have your trustee on your bank account. So when you pass, they have no
issues.
They're not going to seize your funds, like all that. Because otherwise, the bank will just, whatever you have, the bank will seize it and freeze it until you go through probate. But if you have a trust, that trustee automatically takes ownership and control and can start doing their thing. So the key is trust.
Yeah, and you need to notify the bank there is a trust on it, right? So that's not complicated, where they're like having, like, they didn't know, and so now you're having to get their property.
Pretty much put beneficiaries on all your stuff.
Yeah. What about taking your spouse and quit claim deeding the property to them? Do you guys know much of that?
So I had to do that with my divorce. I had to have him quit claim it to me. Actually, we ended up, instead of quit claim, we wrote it as a gift deed.
Okay, yeah, that works.
I did a gift deed to add I've done one of those too.
Yeah. So
these are good questions for next week when we have.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I've learned so much, and I'm like, you know what? My bachelor, my undergrad is in criminal law anyway. I'm like, I might as well just go be an attorney, and whatnot, because like,
I love
the amount of people.
I love finding these people and having these conversations. It's kind of fun to me, but Miranda,
they have stressed me out.
It takes a special person to want to deal with that. Like, you get to a point, you're like, I'm out. And over a year, Sharon, with that one deal, I don't know that I was stuck it out.
Yeah, and you know what finally killed it for us? It wasn't even the family. It was the end buyer that I found wanted to use a closing attorney, and that closing attorney, I'll tell you, Miranda, do not use Isaac Glasser. That closing attorney went behind our back and told the sellers that we were committing fraud, and ended up telling them to cancel the contract with us, and went direct to seller from the buyer to seller. Guess what? You know how fraudulent this bullshit was? Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. He was the private money lender for the freaking buyer.
Who is it?
Isaac Glasser. Fucking snake. Ooh, sorry.
I'm about to look him up.
Don't use him for closing any deals. Anyway.
Wow.
Isaac Glasser.
Yeah, after we go through all these hoops, all these things, it was such a nightmare. And then the end buyer, we finally got everything cleared, ready to go. And the end buyer that we found was like, oh, I want to use my closing attorney. This is what I use all the time.
That's why. I wonder how many times they've done that to people.
Exactly.
Isn't there like an attorney thing where like they're not ethical that you can turn this shit into and get his?
So yes, except that you have to have an attorney file that. And no attorney is going to file against an attorney. Yes, you would have to complain to the bar. All right, listen, we are already at 53 minutes. So before we get closing, Miranda, I want to know, what is her house? Or what is it? Her haven. Tell us about her haven.
Oh yeah.
So me and a few of my friends kept bringing me this whole idea since I was in real estate, and I'm like, listen, I got enough that I'm doing. Like, I'm trying to do so much and get back on track for myself. So they were like, pretty much, since you know your way around the real estate world now and you're meeting all these people, everybody's always asking us, well, what's for rent? What's for rent? And I mean, I get asked that question like 20 times a month. And I be telling people, I'm like, listen, I'm not a realtor. Then I honestly don't know, like, what's for rent. Like, I couldn't tell you. Like, I really do not know.
Right.
It's hard to find a good landlord, a private landlord. It's hard to find housing, period, right now. So I have been working on getting funding for Her Haven housing, which is going to support the pad split model. If you guys have not heard of pad split, it's basically co-living, private shared bedrooms, all that type of stuff. But it's going to support single mothers in Virginia. So all around Virginia, 804-757-540, Virginia, period. So right now we're working on getting a funding and then figuring out which area we do want to put the first property in, which has been super hard because everybody's like, this area. It's been super hard to decipher where.
Because there's such a big need for
it's
housing.
need everywhere. It's a need. It really is. So, I mean, eventually we'll get there to where it's one in every area, or maybe a few in every area. But deciding where that first one is going to be huge. And then, I'm excited because it's going to be, we're hoping to partner with obviously daycares, work first centers, for employment. Also job resources, but also, I'll have, an advisory board because I really do want it to be fair. Like, I'm sure I'm going to know people that apply because I know plenty of moms, single moms and whatnot. So I don't want it to be, where they're like, you're the owner, you're picking your friend. No, I'm not. So I probably won't even be on the board. Regardless if I sit in, I probably won't even be on the board because I don't want those decisions up to me. At the end of the day, it's it's going to be based on the application requirements, which is it's not going to be similar to like a normal application. It's not going to be like credit worthy. Like it can't be. It's going to be loosely on that because. I mean, a lot of people don't have good credit. I mean, but they may have the income. And sadly, for a lot of these places, you could have one, but you kind of need both. So it disqualifies a lot of different people. So hopefully, that'll take from that. So I'm excited. This time next year, we should be in the almost groundbreaking stages.
Nice.
It's just I do got to decide on the area.
Yeah,
I need to figure out where.
There's a lot
where I
involved
want
as
it.
well, especially if it's a nonprofit type of a thing.
I would love that because, and it's gonna be. I'm excited. I'm excited that I wish I was almost applying, but I'm excited. I'm super excited about this aspect and releasing it and seeing who it helps. So it's been fun.
Awesome.
Nanny's calling you.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Miranda. This has been a great
thank y'all.
episode. I really hope
fun.
Your stories. You're a great storyteller. I love it. I do want to quickly mention to you and to anyone else that's watching, don't forget that the Sweetheart Women in Real Estate Mastermind, it's a ladies only weekend retreat, is coming up in September and October. September and October, the last week of there. So go to sweetheartmastermind.com and check that out. And the heart is Mary Hart for our guest next week. And we already interviewed Wendy Sweet a couple weeks ago. So that'll be great.
This is the attorney, right? The real estate attorney next week.
Yep. I just wanted to do one more shout out to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so to our audience, if you need to reach out to Miranda, her phone is right here, and you can find her on TikTok or Instagram right there. Yes. And that's great, Miranda. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, ladies. It's been really fun.
Bye.
Thank you.
You said